arguments in a landmark case on homelessness just finished before the U.S. Supreme Court. As we've been reporting, the decision that comes down in the city of Grants Pass, Oregon versus Gloria Johnson could change the way cities across the country approach the problem of those without permanent shelter. And Congressman Kevin Kiley of Rockland helped make the argument for that change this morning before the highest court in the land. Congressman Kiley with me now live. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. Well, at the roots of this Grants Pass case is whether or not it's cruel and unusual punishment to fine, ticket, or jail people for sleeping outside on public property if they have no place to go. You and 5 other members of the House from the Western states filed an amicus brief in this matter. What did you want to stress to the justices?
Well, I want to stress to the justices just what a crisis homelessness has become in the state of California. You know, right now we have over half of the unsheltered and the entire homeless in the entire country live in California. We have 9 times more unsheltered homeless than the next closest state. And we can all see the devastating impact it's had on our communities and the tragedy that it is for the homeless individuals themselves, with crime increasing, with the quality, the condition of our cities deteriorating, waste, fires, other safety issues have been associated with the sort of unchecked growth of homeless encampments. And a big reason this has happened is because of some very misguided decisions of our Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which oversees California, which has had these rulings that are really out of step with the rest of the country, that have tied the hands of local officials and made it virtually impossible for them to regulate the growth of homeless encampments and even regulate where they can be. So that's why we see them all over in our parks, on our sidewalks, in front of businesses, near schools. And so this decision, this case, is a chance to restore the ability of our policymakers and our local communities to deal with the homeless issue in a common sense way.
Obviously no decision today, but questions from the high panel often signal which way they might be leaning. Did you have any particular feeling about the possible ruling given what happened during today's proceeding, what you heard?
Yes, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think there's probably 6 justices who I think are in favor of reining in the Ninth Circuit in some meaningful way. I think there's some question about just how far they'll go. But I think that the likely outcome in this case is that our cities and our communities and our state are going to have a new set of tools that are currently available to most other communities across the country to be able to stop homeless encampments from continuing to grow and to be able to connect homeless individuals with the services they need to get shelter and to turn their lives around.
No secret, you have been highly critical of Governor Newsom really taking him to task during the height of the COVID pandemic over many of the restrictions he put in place then to help stop the spread of the disease. But with this particular issue, you all are on the same side.
Largely so, yes, in that, the governor as well as counties and cities all across California agree with me that the situation has gotten out of control, that the Ninth Circuit is making policy around homelessness that makes no sense and that is, causing this problem to get worse and worse, and that the U.S. Supreme Court needs to, come in and restore the right of our local communities to be able to deal with this issue in a common sense way. There is some difference in terms of what I'm asking for and what the governor is asking for. He still wants the courts to be involved, which I think is a problem and would probably lead to the same problems going forward. But at least there is a general agreement that we need to give our communities more authority in this matter, and that the status quo is totally unacceptable.
Alrighty. Well, voters just learned through state audit results that California hasn't been careful tracking the use or effectiveness of $24 billion that were supposed to be improving the homeless situation in the state. So why is rousting people out of their camps when there might not be places for them to go? Why should cities or the state be trusted to manage that, given what we just learned from this audit, if the Supreme Court ruling, backs the city of Grants Pass?
That's a great point. I actually requested that audit myself originally when I was a member of the legislature, and I've been incredibly critical of the way that homelessness has been approached at the level of policy in California as well. What we learned from this audit is that money is just being spent, taxes are being raised, billions and billions of dollars are being spent, and our state officials are not tracking where the money is going and whether it's having any meaningful impact. So what's happening with this court case is it's going to give us the opportunity to start to solve this problem, but it's going to be incumbent on policymakers to then take advantage of that opportunity and to make the right policies. We have models across the country where communities have gotten this right, where they're able to have public spaces that are not, filled with homeless encampments and drugs and waste, while at the same time being able to, treat the issue of homelessness in a compassionate way by doing everything we can to get homeless individuals assistance, whether that means, housing assistance, whether it means mental health assistance, whether it means substance abuse treatment in order to get their lives back on track.
Alrighty, just before we have to let you go, we're talking about 10,000 people almost on the streets in Sacramento County, 650,000 nationwide. Isn't the real issue here not moving people out of public spaces, but actually dramatically increasing the amount of housing that we have so that people have a safe place to stay, transitional housing or low-income housing, because a lot of the people that are living in their cars, they have jobs. They're going to them from their cars. Isn't that the real issue, not just moving people from place to place?
Well, I think they go hand in hand, and you're absolutely right. We need to have more housing in California. There are a lot of impediments on building housing, such as fees, such as restrictions on development like CEQA, that have led housing costs to soar in this state, and that is a huge problem, not in terms of homelessness, but just also in terms of the general quality of life in our state. But at the same time, there are a lot of underlying causes of homelessness. In some cases, it's economic dislocation. In some cases, it's substance abuse. In some cases, it's mental illness. But the issue of what is happening in our public spaces when it comes to our parks, when it comes to areas in front of businesses, when it comes to kids having to walk by, needles on the ground on their way to school, these are basic issues of public health and public safety. And it's the right, and I'd argue the responsibility of our cities, of our government, to assure that the public is protected from that. But it's also our responsibility to make sure that we are getting individuals struggling with homelessness, whether that's for economic reasons or mental health reasons or substance abuse reasons, the help that they need. And I think that with this court decision, it'll be a new day for California, and it'll then be incumbent on us to make sure that we have the right policies going forward.
It could be. We may have to wait an entire year to get it, but thank you so much for joining us after sitting in on this landmark case that could change everything when it comes to homelessness in the state of California. We appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you.